Creating a website can be a great way to share your information with the world, whether it's to create a personal portfolio, a project page, or even some sort of report, such as for PBL or project-based learning. So let's look at how we can use Google Sites, a free service, to fairly quickly and easily create a website. What you're going to need is you're going to need a Google account, which you should already have. And once you have that, you go to sites.google.com. And you're going to need to log in to your normal Google account, as you normally would, just like for Google Drive, with your username and password. Once you're in, you'll see a list of any websites that you have created or Google Sites that are shared with you from other creators and collaborators. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to need to create a site. Before we create one, let's take a look at what our goal is. The goal is to have, in this case, we're going to make a portfolio page, but it can also be very useful for project-based learning. For example, here we have a PBL team's site to do a report on their product, which was a geological map of the local area, Calistoga. So in this case, they created a page for each different part of their project, a page to describe their driving question, their overall goal, a page to describe the process they used and explain to people how they did it. And you'll notice here, they've even embedded a Google Drive slideshow or presentation. So that's one very useful feature of Google Sites, is it's easy to embed work you've done in Google Drive. They've embedded products that they created. So in this case, they created a map, and you can open that map directly in Google Drive, and you can download it. And then they also have a page for rationale describing their decision-making process and why they made the choices they did. So it can be useful for project-based learning in addition to portfolios and other purposes. Anything you want to share with the public, websites are now a great way to do that. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we would go about doing that. First step is to create a page. So when you create a new website, you have to choose blank template is what we're going to use because we're going to format it ourselves, and then we're going to create a good name for the site. Now in this case, you could start with first name and then your last initial and then portfolio. You want a name that represents your site, and keep in mind whatever you type up here is going to be the default name that it assigns to it for the actual website address, for the URL. So if you get this wrong and have something spelled incorrectly, that can't be changed later. Your whole website's going to have the wrong spelling in its URL. You can manually change the URL address as well if there's a problem with it. So you could have one title and then change the web address separately. You'll probably want to select a theme, and in this case we're doing a portfolio, so choose something that represents you. Now the themes are colors and images that are sort of background or decorative objects for the page that just make it look a little more interesting. So I'm going to choose one for myself. I'll choose this leather panel one, and then we'll click Create. And what this does is it will set up the site for you with no content. It's basically just an empty template, an empty shell. You'll see it has a home page, and that's it. Now keep in mind, a website is not just the same as a web page. A web page is one single page. A website can be a collection of web pages that go together. We're actually going to create a Google site which includes several different pages for different things. So first thing we're going to want to do is to organize our site. And we'll start by changing our home page. We could call it home. I'm going to change the name of it to be About Me so we can give a little bit of information about ourselves. Not too much. The reason we didn't put our full last name on there is because it's not a good idea to share all your personal information on the internet, especially when you're not an adult. So in this case, we're just going to share a little bit about ourselves, maybe what grade we're in and which subjects we studied or maybe our extracurricular activities we like to do. And you'll notice I clicked the pencil tool to edit that page. There's a couple different tools up here I'm going to show you. We're going to use all three of these buttons, the pencil, the plus, and the gear. And that's edit, add page, and more actions. So once you've changed that title there, you'll notice on the side this automatically created navigation bar has updated to say About Me. Now it still says home at the top because it defaults to being called the home page. You need to have a home page on your website.